What secrets did the ancient island landmass of southern England hold when Neovenator stalked the Tethys margin? Could fragmentary bones hint at individuals far larger than the 7.5-meter hunter weighing up to 2 tons? Why has no nest or egg of this predator ever surfaced, leaving its entire life cycle inferred? How did unusually strong arms and great curved hand claws help this theropod grip prey during the killing bite? What did it take to hold the top carnivore niche while rival large theropods shared the same territory? What deep evolutionary story places this Allosauroid inside Neovenatoridae, a group of large-bodied theropod scientists still debate? Don't miss what comes next in this story. Watch to the very end.
A solitary hunter patrols the warm, Early Cretaceous floodplains. It's specialized snout tracking hidden prey. I'm Jonny Dony, and this channel brings you dinosaur documentaries grounded in real paleontological science. Today we explore shadows on the sensitive snout, featuring the agile theropod Neovenator. Monetization here has grown quite unpredictable lately, so the channel now relies on direct viewer support to keep going. If you value this work, please become a sponsor on Patreon. Every contribution helps produce the next film. Link below. Please like and subscribe to stay close to the channel. Now, let me take you back in time.
Shadows on the sensitive snout. Time is the measure of all things, and the earth records what time forgets. Era Herodotus. Wessex Floodplain. Warm rain sweeps a coastal plain at the northern margin of the Tethys realm. Braided rivers lay pale sand and gray mud across what is now the Isle of Wight. These beds are the Wessex Formation, Birimian stage, 125 million years ago. Rain here arrives in seasons, not in steadiness. Months of drought crack the mudstone flats before storm surges spill the channels and drown them under sheets of sand. This is a floodplain built by repetition. Flood, dry, flood again. Conifers hold the higher, drier ground. Cycads and ginkgos crowd the channel banks, and horsetails stand in the shallows where ferns carpet the damp hollows. No closed canopy shades this plain. A pterosaur crosses the open sky above, unhurried. Mantellosaurus browses the ginkgo stands, and small Hypsilophodon move through the fern floor beneath. Along a sandbar, a crocodilian lies motionless in the low sun, indifferent to both. Neovenator walks this cluttered ground as the plain's largest resident carnivore. Each flood leaves its signature in the geology. Pale sandstone lenses cut down into red and gray mudstone. The Wessex Formation stacks those cycles bed upon bed, and between them lie fern and conifer debris, gathered by one season and swept downstream by the next. This whole Birimian world lasts perhaps 4 million years, a narrow window in the Early Cretaceous, and narrower still for the animals that filled it. The floodplain gives and withdraws, flood by drought by flood. Everything living here is shaped by that rhythm. This chapter reveals that seasonal floods shaped every predator and prey across the Birimian floodplain. We want to hear which environmental cycle surprised you most in the comments. Like and subscribe to track these discoveries. The next chapter dissects Neovenator's lightweight frame and hunting mechanics.
Bipedal Hunter. 7.5 meters long and a little over a ton, set against the animals around him. Neovenator is neither the heaviest nor the tallest thing on this plain, but he is built to move, and that changes everything. The body plan is elegantly simple. Everything balances over the hips. The long hind limbs carry the weight. The tail, held clear of the ground, counterweights the chest ahead of them. A pterosaur banks overhead, and he does not break stride. For a theropod of this size, he is lightly built. The skeleton is airy where mass is not needed, and the frame carries perhaps 1 ton to 2 tons at most. It is a design for covering ground, not for standing still. The head is long, low, and narrow, and it is mostly openings, wide windows in the skull that shed mass without narrowing the gape, carried at the end of a mobile neck. It is a light instrument on a fast-moving body. Then the forelimbs, unusually powerful for an animal of this build. Each hand ends in 3 great hooked fingers, made for seizing and holding something that struggles. Downstream, a crocodilian basks motionless on a sandbar, a body plan devoted to the opposite strategy. Watch him turn. The tail swings, the hips pivot, and the whole 7.5 meter length comes round in the space of a stride. That is what bipedal balance buys this species. Not brute power, but control at speed across cluttered, cycad-choked ground. How does this lightly built predator execute precise turns on cluttered ground? We traced how hip balance and hooked forelimbs secure struggling prey across floodplains. Record your assessment in the comments. Like and subscribe. The next chapter follows a meter-long juvenile navigating the undergrowth alone.
Nestless Brood. Beneath the fern floor, something small moves quickly. A young Neovenator, perhaps a meter from snout to tail tip, threads the horsetail stems where nothing large can follow. Everything it will become begins at this scale, in the undergrowth. It is entirely alone. Whew. No nest, no egg, no embryo of this animal has ever been found. What we say of its breeding is inference, drawn from the theropods around it. A clutch of several eggs, laid in a scraped hollow, and parental attendance of unknown extent. Solitary animals must still find one another. In the dry season, a mate is located and tolerated before both go their separate ways. Overhead, a pterosaur colony wheels above the channel cliffs, its own breeding season noisy and communal. Everything this one is not. Hatchlings emerge ready to move, precocial or nearly so. They are miniature versions of the adult, and from the first days they take small living things, insects, lizards like Paramycelidus, whatever the fern beds yield. A Gobiconodon watches from beneath a fallen conifer trunk. Growth must be fast. Each dry season culls the small and the slow, and a juvenile that gains stature moves into a niche no small carnivore can enter. Across the plain, a Mantellosaurus herd drifts past, indifferent to a young theropod hip-high in the ferns. Within a season or two, the brood has scattered. No group holds them, no parent shadows them. Each young Neovenator walks its own line across the channel country, growing into the solitary animal it must become. The nestless generation disperses across the Bohemian plain. While earlier chapters detailed the adult body plan, this one reveals the solitary juveniles that must survive without parental care. We can see how rapid growth shaped their path to independence. Comment on the challenges below. Like and subscribe. The next chapter shows adult rivals settling territory by force.
Territorial Combat. An iguanodontian breaks from the ferns at the channel edge, and the theropod is already moving. 40 strides, no more. Long hind legs closing the gap. tail swinging counterweight through the turn. The great curved hooks of both hands close on the flank. Two adults meet where a drying channel narrows, and neither yields. They come chest to chest, heads low, shoulder barging through the mud until one is driven back 3 body lengths. No contact beyond that. The smaller rival turns and walks, and the combat is settled. On the sandbar, a Goniopholis has claimed a carcass, 4 meters of crocodilian pressed flat and immovable. The theropod comes at it from the side and drives it back with the lunge of its full weight. Goniopholis wheels, slides into the shallows, yields the bar. A baryonyx arrives at the same carcass, long-snouted and heavier through the chest. Neither will attack outright. They circle, mouths open, each measuring the other's bulk until the baryonyx lowers its head and takes the far end, a truce made of arithmetic, not courage. Where the channel deepens, a Leptocleidus surfaces across the crossing, 3 meters of short-necked plesiosaur holding the ford. The theropod tests the shallows, feels the surge of a broad flipper through the murk, and withdraws to the bar. The crossing costs him an afternoon. Late in the dry season, the two meet again, and the larger presses forward until the other gives ground and keeps giving it. He does not follow. The snout that reads pressure and heat over a carcass reads a beaten rival just as well. We have tracked Neovenator's dominance across the floodplain, but the next chapter reveals the environmental shift that ends it. Like and subscribe to follow this final sequence. We will show exactly how the drying channels forced a solitary predator into complete local extinction.
Apex decline. Across the Wessex Plain, no carnivore stands above him. At roughly 1.5 tons, Neovenator holds the apex position on an island landmass where only the fish-eating baryonyx matches him in bulk. Iguanodontians move aside. A Goniopholis slides off the bar as he passes. But the dominant animal here holds a lease, not a title. The channels that feed this plain run on monsoon rhythm, flood, then months of drying, and the rhythm is becoming erratic. Each failed wet season shortens the ground that can support large-bodied animals. Drought pulls the surviving animals into the few permanent lakes. For a while, this concentration favors him. Everything gathers where he can find it. Then the lakes fall further, the gatherings thin, and a solitary carnivore must walk further each week for less. Large carnivores are always rare. A plain that carries hundreds of iguanodontians supports only a handful of animals at his size, and rarity is fragile. A single poor decade removes individuals faster than the surviving few can replace them. And there is nowhere else to go. Sea level and shifting continents leave this a narrow European margin, hemmed by the Tethys, with no corridor inland. Pterosaurs cross that boundary freely overhead. A small early mammal waits out the dry season in a hollow log. He cannot. The Barremian ends, and Neovenator ends with it. Its whole known span is one of the narrowest of any large theropod. A few dry seasons too many, and the last of them stops walking the Wessex channels. This is a local extinction, quiet and complete. The fossil record suggests Neovenator vanished quietly as erratic droughts destabilized the Wessex floodplain ecosystem. We want to hear your assessment of this apex predator's decline in the comments. Like and subscribe for more documentary analysis. Chapter 6 reveals how a preserved snout exposed his extraordinary sensory capabilities.
Fossil legacy. A single animal lies where a channel has dried, and the plain closes over it quietly. A crocodilian works the shallow edge. Small ground dwellers pick along the bar. Within a season, the carcass is scattered, and the flood that follows buries what remains. Mud settles over it, then sand, then mud again. Mineral-rich fluids replace the buried material grain by grain until what lies in the sediment is stone in the shape of an animal. The Wessex beds keep it as the sea rises and falls above. A cliff fall on the Isle of Wight brings the material into daylight, and partial skeletons are recovered from the collapsed face. Named in 1996, Neovenator celerii proves to be among the most complete large theropods known anywhere in Europe. Inside the preserved snout, CT scanning reveals a dense network of neurovascular canals threading the premaxilla and maxilla. In life, that tissue made the muzzle exquisitely sensitive to pressure and heat, an animal that could feel how deep a bite had gone and stop there. The lineage matters. Neovenator belongs to a broad group of large carnivores that also includes Concavenator of Spain, and it marks an early European branch of that radiation. Long-legged and light-framed, these animals ran the open ground before later groups took the northern continents. Every theropod line but one ended. The one that survived gave rise to the birds crossing these cliffs today. Neovenator survives as fossil material in a drawer, and from that stone we read how a carnivore felt its world. Our journey through Neovenator's world concludes with the stone record we uncovered today. From floodplain hunter to preserved fossil, this lineage reveals how early European carnivores shaped their ecosystems. Subscribe for more paleontological research, and like this video to support our channel.
Our Shadows on the Sensitive Snout documentary concludes here, and I'm Jonny Dony. Neovenator revealed how a sensitive snout guided solitary hunting across shifting Cretaceous floodplains. Please subscribe and share your favorite moment in the comments to support this channel. Patreon members receive every new dinosaur documentary a week before the public release, link below. My sincere gratitude goes to sponsors and subscribers whose ongoing support funds every research hour. In just a few seconds, 2 equally fascinating dinosaur documentaries will appear on your screen. Choose your next journey and keep exploring ancient ecosystems with me.